how do you see Malibu Boats after you spent a year there, and as we come to like an inflection point maybe for rates? Is that important to you?
Yeah, rates are important to us. I see Malibu Boats in a good position, Matt, honestly. As we are, looking at the market and the consumer is still struggling a little bit with the elevated rates and so on, we're in a good position. We have capacity. We've invested in our capacity over the last few years. We have new models. We have 11 new models coming out in model year 26. We're excited about that. Got a great team, really, top line of our dealer network. So we're in great position for when there's a little bit more consumer confidence. There's a little bit more stability, as Dave's kind of snapshot there gave. It's kind of more of the same for 26, at least the start of our fiscal 26, before the consumer really revs up and starts getting back to the full blown, buying new boats.
Talk to us about the mix, because as I said, you dominate wakeboard towing. We're looking at some sweet video of that here, but we also saw some big, outboard fishing boats, and I know you have stern drive business as well. Where else do you want to take market share?
Yeah, we play in a lot of different categories at the premium level. So when you look at our saltwater fish categories with Pursuit, Cobia, Pathfinder, those brands play at the premium level. We've been taking share in those brands. We've had new boats introduced in those brands. We actually just introduced our Pursuit S388, which is a phenomenal boat. Been able to spend some time on the ocean with that boat, and we're excited about where that's going. Our Cobalt line is another big lake boat, but also foraying into the saltwater fish area as well. And we're gaining share in our stern drives. And then in the towboat segment, we've been the category leader for a long time, and that really takes the innovation that we're committed to and the continual pursuit of making a great towboat.
Because you have, because you play in kind of the luxury or the high-end segment, I'm sure that most of your ownership is through individuals purchase boats. But I wonder about the growing category of boat sharing, these clubs that people are hearing more and more about. Is that a growth avenue for you?
That is a growth avenue for us. We do participate in the boat club. It's kind of called the boat club markets. We supply boats to the boat club markets. And it's a great way for families to enjoy time on the water, and we're a good supplier to that type of business.
How does the consumer look to you, Steve, as we get closer to rate cuts? Obviously, if rates come down, that's going to make it easier, more affordable for people to buy into the boating hobby. Is the consumer strong right now? Because we worry a little bit about the labor market.
Yeah, the PCE that just came in this morning, right? The inflation's a little bit up still. The consumer is strong. Their balance sheets are strong. It's the consumer confidence in where the economy is going. Interest rates are still a little elevated in our space. We're excited if the rate cuts happen. There's been a lot of rumors and promises about rate cuts, but we actually have to see them. But I think once we start to see them, the consumer confidence will come back. The desire of being on the water, being out with your family and friends, and being outside, doing activities behind the boat has not died. It's just we're looking for that desire to turn into demand a little stronger than what we've seen, and I think we're back in that growth mode again.
What about the tariff situation? I mean, you were at Indian before this, and I believe at Malibu Boats, you're just as much of an American manufacturer. So does it hurt you at all, or is it maybe even a tailwind?
Tariffs for us are still there. It's about 150 to 300 basis points of cost of sales that we'll have to incur. But we're doing everything we can with looking at our efficiency of engineering, our efficiency of manufacturing, working with our suppliers to make sure that we can, mitigate passing much of that on to the consumer. So we're working every day to bite into that tariffs, but we're not as impacted as tariffs. Like you said, we're predominantly a U.S. manufacturer, and we predominantly get our supply chain is North American based. So But it's about that 150, 300 basis points impact on our business.
What's the seasonality like? It strikes me that you're the last two businesses you've run, probably a lot more popular in the summer months, spring and fall as well, but less so in winter. What's your revenue stream look like when it gets cold out?
Yeah, when it gets cold out, we do take the dip. But think about how we're positioned. We do a lot of business in the saltwater market, so it's boating year round. When you think about the saltwater markets. But yes, because we sell to big lakes, riverways, and so on. We're affected in that off season, so to speak, as we enter Q3 and Q4 of the calendar year. We slow down a little bit. Q1 and Q2 is a stronger period of the calendar as we head to boat shows and the beginning of the boating season up north. But we're year-round boating in the South.